Okay, well, technically, I am the chair of SEDS-USA, so just the USA group. Back in the 1980s, SEDS was started by Peter Diamandis of many different space organizations fame. X-Prize today is kind of the big one. And so back in that day, he started up, and there was a lot of different US chapters, but then also international chapters. And so what kind of happened is SEDS turned into this huge organization where it broke down at the national level, and then in the US at the college level. So we have a bunch of different colleges all across the US that each have different SEDS chapters, or possibly AIAA/SEDS chapters, or some other conglomeration group, because we really don't, we ourselves don't discriminate. If a group wants to get the benefits of both AIAA and SEDS, that's what we're all about, is giving out kind of what benefits we can to groups, and helping students at different schools meet each other and collaborate and talk about space and how they would like to further the exploration and development of space, as in our name.
What got you interested in the field of space?
Well, personally, I guess as I went to college, I knew that I was kind of interested in aerodynamics, aerospace type things. So I ended up first going as an aerospace engineer, and in that same strain, I guess, I managed to go to a couple different meetings of our SEDS chapter at the time, the Iowa State Space Society. And so after going to a few of those meetings, I kind of got drawn in. They were, it was a very interesting group. They do a lot of different rocketry and things like that, and who doesn't like seeing, building rockets by scratch, and seeing them go up and once in a while blow up if things go really wrong. But who doesn't like doing things like that are just very, very cool when you're in college, and getting the money to make that happen. So I kind of got involved that way, and have gone to all kinds of conferences over the last 5 years and learned more, and basically become more interested as I went along.
Being chair of SEDS, what are your duties?
Well, my duties as chair of SEDS is basically I lead the SEDS executive board, which is about a dozen students. We're a completely student-run organization, basically top to bottom. We have some advisors, but other than that, it's all students. And so I lead the board, which really runs SEDS affairs day to day. There's a committee of all of the different chapters, representatives from each chapter in the U.S., and they meet once a month. They technically have superiority over us, but day to day it's generally up to me and my vice president and my director of chapter affairs and so on and so forth to run our website and run our brand new endowment that we have for the organization and things like that, and basically try and move the group forward and provide direction.
You mentioned an endowment, a new endowment?
Yeah, so a couple years ago, so as I said, SEDS has been around for 30 years about. And so having been around for 30 years, for a long, long time, we've gotten small donations here and there from alumni and from interested folks to help the organization run. Once in a while we'll mail a few things out, or try and provide some benefits back to chapters if we can. And we have a website, different things, a few different things cost money, but generally, it's pretty low cost. We're students and we know how to live cheaply. But one of the things that they decided to do a couple of years ago was to actually go through all the process to make SEDS a full 501c3 organization. And so along with that, one of the key things that they wanted to develop was to build some kind of endowment, basically something over at least $100,000 is what we need to have to make it all work. But we're going to try and build some endowment of money and eventually grow that over time to provide us with a little bit of a operating budget to basically give more back to students as we work to further the exploration and development of space. So we're talking about different things like helping students to travel out to conferences, which is always tricky because funding comes and goes, and help support our own conference and help support different student projects that they might propose to us, things like that. And so we're pretty hopeful. This year is kind of our big year. We're trying to push it forward enough that we can get enough money to set the endowment in motion. So hopefully we'll get there.
You have a conference coming up in late October. Tell us about that.
We do have a conference. So each year since about within about the last 10 years, SEDS, when it was started, would always have a conference once a year to get all the students together. That kind of died off back in the 90s, but back in about the early 2000s, it was restarted by the MIT chapter, who started pulling SEDS back together from the scattered pieces that had broken. And so yeah, for a number of years, we've had a conference each year. This year, it's going to be in Boulder, Colorado at that chapter. Each year is hosted by a separate chapter, and so it's not completely run by the executive board of SEDS, which is nice, because then we can do our own things. But that conference will feature a bunch of different really good speakers, much like ISDC here, including people like, we know Bill Nye will be in attendance as our initial speaker for the conference. And there's also some great speakers like Bob Richards, who is one of our founders as well, will be there, as well as people like Ben Brockert that has worked for Armadillo and Maston Aerospace and things like that. So it should be really great. And it's one of those things where we just try to get all of our chapter people together, because they come from so many different parts of the country, into one spot to meet and form friendships, and to basically meet the people they'll be working with to form this industry.